Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you may be watching this. I'm PT, the Sneaker Preacher, Pastor Taylor here, the youth pastor at First Seventh-day Adventist Church. Just for those who don't know, here with another one of God's Word, no cap, and we'll be going through this series called Stories of the Storm, or Stories from the Storm, better yet. And this story comes from just a few months ago. We were experiencing this crazy rain season in Alabama. It was like raining every day, bordering on the verge of flooding in various areas around Huntsville. And so I'm leaving work and it's just a light sprinkle and it turns into like a torrential downpour where the rain is coming sideways. And I'm stopping to get gas and I'm just being pelted by the water. And I jump in my car to wait for my gas tank to fill up. And as I'm hopping out, about to go back out there, I reach down and I realize there's an umbrella. Now, the reason I'm out and about is not just because it was an emergency gas situation. I'm going to get lunch for my wife and I. And so I'm going to pick something up for myself from Smoothie King and pick something else up from her from wherever she wants lunch. And so as I get out and go back to remove the gas tank, the gas pump, I have this umbrella. And I open it up and it's an umbrella that we had gotten 3 months prior at a pastoral retreat. And it says First Seventh-day Adventist Church on it. And it's bright red and has white writing and our church logo on it. And so everywhere that I went after I found this, I had this umbrella that advertised where I belong, my house of worship, my house of faith. And it told everybody where this came from, where I got this umbrella. Essentially, it told everybody where my covering had come from. Let's run that back. I don't like that. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. This is Pastor Rashid Taylor, aka PT, the Sneaker Preacher, here with another episode of God's Word, no cap, episode 2 of Stories from the Storm. And I'm just here to tell you, you got to know where your covering comes from. But more importantly, you got to let others know where your covering comes from. I was in my car heading to get some lunch and I stop at a gas station and I get out, and it had started out as a drizzle. Now it quickly turned into a torrential downpour, a crazy storm where the water is coming sideways and pelting me as I'm trying to fill up my tank. So I hop back into the car and I'm looking for something, a jacket, a hat, something to cover me so that as I go to remove the gas tank when it's finished, that I can be covered in some kind of way. But what I found was better than a hat. What I found was better than a jacket. What I actually found as I'm reaching in my car, searching for something, I find an umbrella that had been given to me weeks prior at a pastoral retreat. So as I get out and I open the umbrella, it says First Seventh-day Adventist Church. And so I'm not only covered by the umbrella, I let everybody know where I got this covering from. And so I go from the gas station, I go to Smoothie King to get lunch for my wife and I. And as I go into Smoothie King, it lets everybody know where I got this covering from. As I go to wherever I go after that, carrying this umbrella, being covered by this umbrella, lets everyone know where I got this covering from, And that takes us to Psalms 91. It says, whoever shall dwell in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. And I will say to the Lord, he is my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust. We have a God that provides for us in a way that we can't imagine. It says, dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Most High. And as we go through these experiences, stories from the storm are to let everybody know where our covering comes from. We don't go through this just so that we can keep it to ourselves. We go through this so that wherever we go after the storm, they know where your covering comes from. They know where how you are protected or who is doing the protecting in the storms of life. And so we go through these so that we can advertise to the world that this is who and what is responsible for the covering as we go through the storms that are sure to come to us all. This has been Pastor Taylor, PT, the Sneaker Preacher, with another episode of God's Word, no cap. with stories from the storm. We'll see you next time.